On today's show, we're going to be talking about how the EU referendum may affect your business. Regardless of how big or small your business is, what kind of effect could it have on you? If we were to stay in, are there going to be advantages? If we were to leave the EU, would there be advantages or disadvantages? My guest on today's show is Stephen Altmann-Richer. He's the head of Group Confederation of British Industry, better known to you and I as the CBI.
So the CBI is the UK's leading business group. We represent around 190,000 businesses. We do that both directly through individual businesses that join the CBI and also through 140 trade associations that the CBI speaks for. We represent many small and medium-sized companies, and we know that small and medium-sized companies are absolutely vital for the UK economy. Well, I think one of the nature of this debate is that there's one side remaining in where, yes, there is some uncertainty about the future direction of the Eurozone, what might exactly happen. So there is some uncertainty, but we sort of know what that future holds because we're kind of in it at the moment. And there's the other side where it's quite difficult to say. There are lots of kind of known unknowns and possibly unknown unknowns on that side as well. So it is difficult to know exactly what would happen, especially if we left. Most of our members said that they do benefit currently from being in the EU, but also that the EU was far from perfect and they wanted to see it reformed to work better for business. Having sort of assessed the outcome, we think that on balance, it's a good deal for business. I mean, one of the things that the CBI has been calling for a number of years now is for the EU to set specific targets to reduce the burden of regulation. We need to think about how we're best able to solve these problems and whether these are big challenges. The EU is facing big fundamental challenges at the moment, one of which is the UK's future in it, but you've identified another one with the migration crisis. You've still got the issues in the Eurozone, etc. Are those challenges going to go away or be easier to solve whether we're in or out of the EU? I think that's quite an interesting question for people to ponder. So we know that actually, for a lot of people, this is a kind of head versus heart decision. The CBI as an organisation, we're very much in that head space. So we're trying to provide sort of facts and information for what this means for the UK's prosperity. And immigration is a really interesting topic there because actually the business experience is that overall businesses tell us that they benefit from the free movement of people within the EU. So when we last surveyed our members, only 1% said that free movement of people had been negative for business. I think were we to leave the EU, as we were talking about in the earlier part of the show, we don't know what exactly would happen. We don't know what the rules might be. We can look at some of the alternative scenarios. So if you take Norway, for example, Norway are in the European Economic Area but aren't full members of the EU. So they do have access to that single market, which business wants to make sure it retains access to. But what having access to the single market means is that they also have to comply with that free movement of people. So Norway actually have higher EU migration per capita of their population than the UK has, despite not being a member of the EU. I'm Stephen Altmann-Richer. I'm from the CBI and I work on our EU referendum work. The CBI is the UK's leading business organisation representing around 190,000 businesses in the UK. In terms of the EU referendum, I think the most important thing for businesses is to first of all try and think about what this would mean for your business. Speak to your suppliers, speak to your customers. What would it mean for them? The economy is very interlinked. So think about what it might mean for them, because that will also impact on yourself. Then think about your business. Think about, do you currently do any trade with Europe? What sort of regulations at the moment do you abide by? Do any of them come from Europe? If so, if we left the EU, would that change? Think about investment in the UK. Think about the wider economic impacts. Think about all the different aspects of your business and how that might be affected by this major decision that the UK has to make. We know from the majority of our members that they would like to see the UK remain in a reformed EU, and the biggest benefit they get is the access to the single market of 500 million people and the associated positive effects on investment, the ability to recruit skilled staff from across the EU, and the ability to access trade deals from further around the world.